Hello everybody, Dave here for the next instalment of Dave Gets Wood, where it's bloody cold and it's snowing outside. It's not fully sticking, it was earlier, but yeah, it's bitterly cold. But we're at the point of putting some varnish on the legs. Now, I was going to sand them and clean them, but to be honest, they're smooth enough and they're clean because of white spirit in it. So basically, if I sand it now, I'm just creating some dust really. So yeah, so we're ready for varnishing. So what I'm going to do, and annoyingly, well, I'm hoping I've got more in my stock, but I'm going to go with the dark oak. If this is showing as being backwards, I do apologise. But yeah, I'm going to go with the dark oak. I've got about, I'll probably say about under half a tin by the feel of it. Just realised I could do with getting a tub. Oh, back in a minute. Right, try again, shall we? Okay, so it's been a couple of days actually. What was it? It was Saturday when I last worked on the legs. I didn't do anything Saturday evening on this, and although I was tempted on the Sunday, I decided not to. I figured that I'm going to take the break. So yes, that's what I did. So okay, looking at, yeah, I've got just under half a tin now. I'm hoping I've got another one in my toolbox. If not, I will have to go get some more at some point. But I would guess that I've got enough here to do these legs. But again, when it comes to applying this, we're going to be finding out whether this is going to be the stuff I want to use really on the tabletop. So and for all I know, I could apply this and go, you know what, I really don't like that. I want it to be darker, because even though this is called dark oak, we know that previously it's appeared very light, but then that was on a very sort of light pine, and I was always hoping that the dark oak on this oak, if that's what this wood is, because it is naturally darker, should be okay. At least that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it would be okay, not should be okay. Right, well, we're giving that a little bit of a stir. Okay, so let's move the camera to see what we've got. Okay, so I've got two legs here at the moment. I'm only really going to be focusing on one at a time. Just want to move that out of the way. It's going to be a bit odd because it's on the opposite side to what I would normally do. Now what I'm going to, as you'll notice, I've put a towel down. Two reasons. One, I don't want the legs to get marked by the wood or stick to the wood. Now it could get marked by the towel, but I think that'll be easier for me to deal with. Also, it gives me a cleaner surface area to work on, keeping any dirt that I may have left on the table is below the towel. Now the way that I'm going to try and work this with the varnish is, I'm going to be applying it on this face, making sure that I've got no streaks down the back or on the top and bottom. I've got these angled to me so that I can see of any drips going there. Once I've done the top face, I'm going to roll it over and do the second face. But the key here is going to be all about making sure I don't leave streaks. because that'll ruin it. So, good luck, let's go. Now, one way to avoid a lot of streaking is don't get naked in public places, but also to not apply too much, which is not always easy to do, but the first couple of coats usually soak in very, very quickly, as this one would appear to have done as well. Well, I would admit straight away I am thinking, is that dark enough? I mean, I'm wiping excess here. There is not. It's soaked straight in. I genuinely thought it'd make it look a little bit darker. I'm keep going for the moment. It's definitely not gone as dark as I would have thought or would have liked, but it has soaked in so quick that it's not really on the surface at the moment. Okay, it's brought that up quite nice. I mean, as I said, I don't really want to be applying colour to the wood. I know that sounds contradictory. I don't want to be applying colour to the wood, but I want the colours to really pop and really stand out. I mean, it has soaked in very, very quickly again, which isn't a problem. It's what we expect. Oh, it has soaked in quicker than I thought it would. So we'll get on with this bit. A little bit of an awkward area to work with. So it's bits like this where it's a little bit awkward, where if I don't deal with it properly, I could easily end up with horrible streaking. Now, to be honest, I wouldn't intend on applying too much varnish in this sort of area. On the top and bottom, that's different because they're going to be areas that are being used, so to speak, and potentially slightly visible. Well, let's go on to this one. I mean, what I will say is that has definitely got a little bit more of a golden hue to it. Oh, we've got quite a bit on there, possibly a little bit too much. Not possibly, definitely too much. Okay, let's give that a quick wipe down. Okay, I think we'll be okay, you know, especially once it's got a few coats on there. Bit of a mark in there. think that's off the wood. See, that's what I'm wanting to try and avoid. Don't go for too much. It's easier to apply more than it is to take it off. Let's give that a wipe down, make sure we're not indecently exposing ourselves. See, this is where it would be very easy to start applying way too much because it is soaking in quickly, but that is definitely the wrong thing to do. Better to build up layers than just splodge it all on. So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to focus on just 2 legs at a given time. And what I'm going to try and do here is that one should be available to be turned now. So I'm going to pop this one out of the way. So this one, like I say, should be able to be turned all the way, and we can definitely tell there's a difference, that surface to that surface. If you can't on the camera, don't worry, I can tell. And what I'm going to do is I'll do these 2 edges, then we'll go back to that one, and then we'll do the top and the bottom separately. And once we've done that, we can then go to the other 2 legs and get them up to the same point. That's the colour this is the kind of coloration I'm looking for, that nice golden, which hopefully will get a little darker as we go along. Yeah, it should hopefully get a little darker as we go along. And then hopefully it will look very, very nice. Now, one of the things we're doing this at the moment, I mentioned the other day that when it comes to doing this, I need to be focused, I need to concentrate, and to a degree, like for example, now I've started these 2, I can't stop, because if I do, I'm going to end up with very different colours on each side. Even though it's quite different, it's got a lot of different colours anyway. But if I leave it a long period of time, then yeah, it is going to look very different. Also, I wouldn't want to sort of forget where I've got up to. Okay. And interestingly, it's not soaked in as quick on this side compared to this side, which was done first. But we'll see how it goes. Okay. So that's those two done, which hasn't taken very long to do that bit at all, but let's move on to this one and we'll get the other two of this one done. Now, I'm interested to see how this particular piece comes out or looks, because this is, it's going to sound stupid, this is my favourite panel or piece of these legs. I'm hoping that this is going to really stand out quite nicely. Which it does. And that's the thing, we're using this dark oak, like I say, it's not to colour the wood, it's to allow the natural colour that's there to really stand out. And that's what it's done on this particular face. There's some lovely patterning on it, and the dark oak has really allowed it to pop. And that's something that whatever coating was on it before, it definitely wasn't doing that. It was definitely more a case of hiding it, and I think I've just forgotten to do in the groove there on the side I've just done. So quickly, yeah, I didn't do it. The thing is, I have to do it and then go over it again. Otherwise, I'll end up with an absolute myth. Okay. And interestingly, on this one as well, it also looks like this last side hasn't soaked in as much as the first side, unless it's just because the first side's had a bit more time to dry, or maybe it's just the amount that's on there. But either way, I'm liking how they're looking at the moment. So they've had one coat all the way round. So what I'm going to do now is get some on the end, and this is going to be quite important as well, because I need to 100% make sure that we leave no drips with this, because it'd be very easy for this to be dripping out of sight, and obviously that's not what we want. Even though it would be hidden under the table, it's not what we want. Now again, I'm not going to do loads of coats on the ends, but I will do probably at least 3. I just need to make sure that we're definitely not got any streaks coming off it. Oh, have to be careful twisting. And another one of the reasons that I kind of left the day, I didn't do anything on Sunday. The snow's really coming down a bit bigger now. Yeah, on Sunday was I wanted to give my back a bit more time to recover, because I have been struggling with that recently. Right, so that's pop these to the side. Well, do I pop these to the side or do we whack another coat on, seeing as they're here? No, I think I'm tempted to put another coat on them while I've got them here rather than changing them around, because the ends are going to need a bit of time to dry before I can move them and stand them up. No streaks, good lad. Bit of an edge on the end at the foot to make sure that I get the varnish on, and that again is where I need to be careful that I don't go leaving any excess on there. And looking at the weather, the snow is melting because it's not come down hard enough, but it keeps coming down harder and harder, and I think if it keeps snowing today and the temperature drops tonight, everything will freeze. And if it freezes and it keeps snowing, then it will stick. Anyway, right, okay, so that is these two legs have now had a full coating all the way round, but I am going to make a start on doing. We'll go straight on to the second coat. Just because it's here, I'll stop at the second coat on them because that'll then be sort of full video length, and I can move on to the other legs. Let's give the varnish a little stir. Okay, so we're going to be back onto those sides. One of the reasons that I've done it where I started off with these particular angles, as well as being able to see what's going to happen on this slope, but it's to remind me that when they're facing me like this, that's the first where I started. So if I don't do that, I'll fucking forget, and I'll probably forget anyway. Excuse me, monster in the cupboard breaking wind. And this is where, if any of the DGT lads are watching, they'll start going, let me out, let me out. Okay, that's looking nice golden look to it. I like that. Okay, I was unsure with the very first application, but I'm definitely liking it more and more as we're going along. Let's get in the groove. Okay, yes, definitely snowing. Bigger flakes. I think it's snowing bigger flakes, but the sun's come out a bit more. It's kind of catch-22. And I wonder why, or where the terminology catch-22 came from. A bit like, I know I've mentioned this before, but in slightly older days, or prior to 2000s, people, when shocked, would sometimes say, "Oh, Gordon Bennett." well, okay, well, where does that come from? Because that's a name. So what did Gordon Bennett do that meant if something shocks you, you call it a Gordon Bennett? Is it just Cockney rhyming slang? I don't think so. Because it doesn't really rhyme with something from Cockney rhyming slang. Okay. A little bit. Let me get that one in. Okie dokie, let's go. As you can see as well, I've still opted to stick to applying with a sponge rather than a brush. It's still just the way I prefer it. Every time I've tried using a brush, I don't like it. So, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm just using them wrong, which is a bit, I can use a brush wrong. But when I consider that all of the sort of instructions and reasonings for using the brushes, it leaves no streaks. Yeah, when I'm doing it, I get nothing but streaks. Just makes me think, well, I'll go with a way I can do it where it doesn't leave streaks. Thank you very much. That's something I'm going to have to think about a little bit over the coming days and stuff like this. As I'm doing this table, when it comes to doing any resin work, I will have to be very conscious of ambient temperatures. Because I think if it's below, I think it was 14 degrees or something like that, the resin won't actually set. So I have to be careful with that. Now again, I'm not really in any kind of rush to to get these legs done, other than, as I said, to once I've started a layer, I do need to complete it. So it's not like I'm sat here now thinking, well, once I've got these done, I can make a start on the other two legs, we can get them done, and then maybe we can get another coat done later tonight. I'm not approaching it like that. It's more a case of, okay, my aim was to make a start on these. I've made a start on these. And my next goal was to get a coat on them. I've got a coat on them. And initially it was a coat on each of them, but going for the 2 coats on this, I'm more than happy with. It's equivalent of doing excuse me, 1 coat on them all. So when it comes to the other 2 legs, I mean, if I feel up to it, yeah, I'll make a start on them. But if I don't, I won't. Okay. Make sure we've got no. I need to make sure I'm concentrating it and making sure that I'm not leaving streaks, thinking that I've done it, but waffling so much that I miss what I've done. Okay, so on to this one. So as the time has gone on, it has obviously soaked in a little bit more. A little bit of the shine that was on it has just soaked away a little bit, which is fine. Obviously the shine is something that will, again, build up in time. And the thing is, once I get to a point with these where, with applying multiple coats of this. If it gets to a point where I go, right, okay, that colour's gone as far as I want them to sort of deepen, then I will, I can always go to using the clear. However, on the legs, I'm not intending on going too overboard. Yeah, I'm not planning on going too overboard with the amount of varnish on the legs. I've also been wondering about whether I should stick some foam pads on the bottom of the legs, and I probably will, seeing as it's going to be on a wood floor. It'll probably be more beneficial. And a couple of the foam pads underneath there. Let's get a little bit more. We are getting a nice reflection already off these, and that's just off 2 coats, which is still going to soak in a bit. But yeah, we are, I say, getting a nice reflection from it. I'll get a bit done on the hands here. Oh, there's an odd pain in my chest or ribs there. Oh, probably some stretching out. Okay. So I've got a little bit more to do on that one leg, and then we're done for now. Right, to this side. So we get these 2 done, and then I'm going to take a break. And, well, for the moment, as I said, I'm not intending on doing it anymore, but if I'm up to it later on, then yeah, we'll do a bit. But if not, it's okay. No wrong with piercing yourself. of a painful dance at the minute. It's probably just wind. I say that because I can feel it moving about. Oh, that one, there's an alien in there. Yeah, I think it is wind because I can, my stomach's just gone blue, which means I need a poo. So just make sure we don't go rushing anything now that costs us later though. We still need to apply a bit more to the ends on these. It. Right, let's get this end done and then we can take our break. Okay, there we go. Right, so that's 2 coats on those done, and it's looking alright at the minute. So we'll leave those for a while, we'll let them set, and when we're up to it, yeah, we'll do the next 2. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.